let's get into this Cleveland Browns talk. This is what we need to be on task and on track to do. Brought in Deshaun Watson. We don't know his status of whether he starts week 1, whether he starts week 6, whether he starts week 20, whatever it may be. We don't know. I've seen in the past 3 weeks it go from 6 to 8 to indefinitely, back to 6, back to 8, back to indefinitely. We're playing a game of musical suspensions here. Until then, until we know that, Jacoby Brissett may be the quarterback for this team at some point during the season. How do the Cleveland Browns need to handle the quarterback position during training camp with the Watson suspension looming? AJ.
Quite possibly an unpopular opinion, but the other thing that you've seen within the last week at this point is Deshaun Watson and his camp come out and say if he gets anything longer than 6 weeks, they're probably going to sue the NFL and push this thing off anyways. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, until there's a moment where the suspension is there, I'm probably letting him take the majority of the snaps, but I'm not fading Jacoby Brissett. I need to know that Deshaun Watson, if he's going to be there because he's pushing this thing off like we saw with Deflategate, like we saw with if you want to go all the way back to Roethlisberger and the way that went down, that's what I would do. If we're in training camp and he's there and he's able to go and that suspension hasn't been given, I'm taking Deshaun Watson and I'm giving him the majority of the snaps. Once Jacoby Brissett's all go, well, then we'll attack that at that point in time. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I brought Deshaun Watson in. He's going to be my QB of the future at some point. I would work that way.
I don't love that idea. I get the premise behind it, and I get it. I don't love the idea of giving Deshaun Watson the first team reps. There is zero doubt in my mind Deshaun Watson's getting suspended from the league. They can sue all they want. Sue's not going to stop the suspension. It's not going to put the suspension on hold. He's just, all it's going to do is be about recouping money. You can't, they could suspend him 8 games and then Cleveland files a lawsuit and says, oh, no, he should be able to play. It's not going to change the suspension until that court case is heard. He's going to serve a suspension. Same way Tom Brady served a suspension. I think you go into it with the mindset of Deshaun Watson's going to miss time. They should be splitting the first team reps. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest, maybe it's not even Jacoby Brissett. Reports today said they're interested in Cam Newton. And that Cam Newton might be in play if once that Deshaun Watson suspension is actually given out. And maybe even before then, if they feel like they have good clarity on it going to happen, they could sign Cam Newton. And I'll tell you this, as bad as Cam Newton's been, Cam Newton will beat out Jacoby Brissett for that job.
Yeah.
Because he's physically different and there's different things you can do with him. But that being said, I never liked the idea. Deshaun Watson, to me, he hasn't played football in a year, and I get that. I'm not worried about him getting first team reps necessarily. Like, I think he'll figure it out. I need Jacoby Brissett. I need Jacoby Brissett to get reps, because if you're Cleveland, you're thinking about this. We have a Super Bowl caliber roster in your mind. That's what they think. We have a Super Bowl caliber roster with Deshaun Watson on the field. We can't afford to be 1-7 with Jacoby Brissett. We need to be 4-3, 3-4, somewhere where if Deshaun Watson comes in, he can make a difference and carry us the rest of the way. We can't fall so far behind that we feel like we have no shot at the playoffs. I don't think you can just give Deshaun Watson all the reps and say, Jacoby Brissett, if he gets suspended, then we'll bring you in. I think that would be bad. I think you need to split those reps with whoever they think is going to be in place of a Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett started 5 games last year. Deshaun Watson started 0.
I don't care. Deshaun Watson is an elite talent, won a national championship, an MVP talent, a generational talent. Jacoby Brissett is Jacoby Brissett.
They're both learning the offense at the same time. I
don't care. The skill level between Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson is here. Like, you can't even see it. That's how big of a difference it is.
What about the fact that the maybe a new offensive system being brought in here to Cleveland with Deshaun Watson now being at the quarterback position? You want to be able to.
It's not a new offensive system.
Are they not? You don't think that this offense is going to change at all? Do you think this is going to be the same Baker Mayfield type led offense?
It's not a new system.
The playbook expands.
You just throw the ball more, right? You're comfortable throwing the ball. It's not a new system. So Kevin Stefanski's going to run his offense. He's just going to incorporate things for a Deshaun Watson. Jacoby Brissett is Jacoby Brissett. I'm not saying he's bad, but that is a guy learning a new playbook, is going to need those reps more so than I'm worried about Deshaun Watson learning some playbook and getting reps. I'm sorry. I don't care how long he's been out of the game. Deshaun Watson is just the superior talent. It'd be like if Tom Brady had missed a year and Tom Brady came back and you guys would be like, oh, he needs all the first. Like, no, he doesn't. He's done this he's been playing football a long time and he's been really good at it. So I'm not saying he's Brady. I used an extreme example, but I'm saying is Deshaun Watson is mentally, he's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL. From a football IQ standpoint, Deshaun Watson is excellent. It's not like you have a guy that's not going to be able to adjust to the mental side of the game. Physically, he's going to have to obviously get back in shape and all that stuff and be football ready. But from a mental standpoint, Jacoby Brissett is far more behind the curve in the NFL realm of football than Deshaun Watson. So I want him to be ready because I worry that if you go 1-7, you are now wasting the first season of Deshaun Watson coming in week 9. Like, it's cool, but you're not getting anything out of that. Cleveland needs to win now. They've set this roster up to win the next 3 years. Like, that's their window. So I don't know that you can fall behind, and I think that's what I would be worried about if Jacoby Brissett doesn't get the reps.
Quickly, because I know we got to move on here, and I'm seriously asking because I was under the impression that the entire point of suing the NFL along with the NFLPA is to get something like with Tom Brady, where it's basically pushed an entire year before that suspension's even served. So that can be a likelihood of this situation, can it not?
Yes, the suing would have to take place before the actual suspension is handed down, though. Tom Brady did not sue the NFL once they suspended him 4 games. When he got word that he was going to be suspended for whatever, like he was going to be suspended, he filed a suit against them.
Yeah.
They had never announced it was going to be 4 games until after the suit had played out. That's the difference. So like right now, if Deshaun Watson's had discussions with the NFL and they've said, hey, we're going to suspend you 8 games, and they don't agree with that, before that is even made, like, hey, we suspended you 8 games, Deshaun Watson would then have to file suit and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And technically, yes, he could play at that point if the suspension is actually never handed down. But if they hand that suspension down and then he appeals it and files a lawsuit, that's usually in the NFL, at least the precedence has been set, that is usually about a money recoup. And in this case, I don't know why Deshaun Watson would do that since his money is guaranteed anyways. Yeah. I don't know how that comes into play. So I doubt, I'm going to be honest, I doubt that if he gets an 8-game suspension, he's suing anybody. But I think he takes that, he eats that, and he goes with it.
Is there a chance the news breaks that Deshaun Watson sues the NFL before we see his game suspension? And if that's the case, are you like, holy shit, what's about to happen?
If you get that news, I think then what my first instinct would be is the NFL suspended him for the year. That's what I would feel like. Yeah. Because then you're going to run into a situation where if I'm suspended for a year, I'm going to fight. I'm going to do whatever I can to fight that off. But 8 games, I think he's going to look at it to his guys and be like, look, let's just eat it and come back, let it all behind us, and move forward with my career. That's what I would recommend.
That'd be the smartest thing. Yeah. So I know the public reports, the big wigs, they were using a year, but there were other threads that were talking about hearing 8 games at the most or something of that nature. I believe you talk about the football IQ. I also think he's just a generally smart guy. I think 8 games, and forgive me, but I think you would look at that with this situation, kind of a slap on the wrist, and would move forward. So,
yeah. There's one other topic within the Cleveland Browns that doesn't have to do with Deshaun Watson or even Jacoby Brissett. It's at the wide receiver position. And Aaron, we obviously know Amari Cooper was traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Cleveland Browns. He is wide receiver 1 in Cleveland. They no longer have Jarvis Landry. Who is next in line to be the wide receiver 2 in Cleveland? What are you looking out for?
Yeah, I think what's most intriguing, and I don't know who the number 2 is, to be honest, but I'll tell you why I wanted to bring this up in this episode is I think it's really intriguing who that number 2 is. We saw kind of an emergence of a Donovan Peoples-Jones last year, started to play a little bit better as the season went on, and this was with Baker Mayfield being hurt. But I really, really, really like David Bell. I've liked him for a number of years coming out of Purdue. I think this is a guy – I don't want to say he's similar to Amari Cooper because he's not on Amari Cooper's level by any means. but I think he's a guy that works the middle of the field. He's going to get open. He creates a little bit of separation. He's physical. He knows how to get at the top of his routes and get in and out of breaks. I think he can be a safety blanket for guys. And I think with him and Amari Cooper being those safety blankets, I think then you get the big plays of a Donovan Peoples-Jones who stretch the field. So maybe at the end of the year, David Bell has a better year, but the more impactful plays come from a Donovan Peoples-Jones being long touchdowns and things like that. So I really like that. And then I want to throw out a sleeper name a lot of people don't really talk about, and he's been in the league for a couple of years now. It's Anthony Schwartz. And he's a playmaking type receiver. I think he's going to get a little bit more opportunity this year. I don't think guys like Jakeem Grant and any of those, Javon Wims are going to kind of get into the mix there. So I think Schwartz is that fourth guy that him, David Bell, and Donovan Peoples-Jones are going to kind of have to find their footing. He could come in and make some big plays as well. But I think the biggest battle in training camp is David Bell and Donovan Peoples-Jones.